Round two comes to me with the Hot or Not segment, our amazing Hot or Not segment, where we take a game that is perceived as the new hotness-ish, at least, and we all play it, decide what we think. Is this game hot? Is this game not? What are we talking about here? And so actually the game we are talking about, it's right up here, the Fox Experiment. And you probably, if you've been watching since the beginning of the show, you know this is coming. We're talking about the Fox Experiment today. And so before we get into it, let's cut away for a little how to play. All right, this is a quick run through on how to play the Fox Experiment. In the Fox Experiment, you're going to start out with your own player board with different ways for you to upgrade more of your 3 abilities that you have to start the game. You'll also have 1 wild die that you get to roll. Depending on player count, you'll have 1 or more, or maybe 0, wild chits to use with your dice. What you're trying to do, everybody's going to start out with 1 study that you're trying to complete, and you have different levels of that study. And the different levels are going to want different attributes bred into the foxes. The different attributes are curly tails, floppy ears, barking, and spots. These are signs that your foxes are getting tame. And so we're going to be looking for parents to fulfill these attributes. Because what you're going to do, everybody's going to have 3 things that they're going to draft at the beginning of every round. You're going to draft a female dog, a male dog, and you're going to draft turn order. What order you do that in is up to you. The first thing you might want to do is take first player next turn, next round. Or you might want to move down the road to take some bonuses, but then go later in the round next time. But what we're also going to do is take a couple of dogs here. So let's see, we need blue and pink. So we might take this dog and this dog. Those are going to be our parents for this round. And we'll get the dice associated with them. So we would get 2 pink dice for the male dog, a pink and a blue for the female dog, and we already have our wild die. Once everybody's done all this, you roll the dice, flip over your new puppy, you get a puppy for this round, you name your puppy whatever you want, something cool, then you roll your dice and see what you get. We've got a lot of pink here. You match up your symbols, like so. There's some of them are half symbols, some of them are whole symbols. This is going to get me nothing, but this will get me 1 of anything I want. It's kind of a roll and write. You have a marker that you can use, so we can make that the blue, and we can make this 1, 2, 3, 4 pink. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can see, now our dog has 1 barking attribute and 4 spots, and that completes us our first round. We can put a fox on it that's going to get us 2 points at the end of the game. Boom, that's what we can do. Then at the end of this, when everybody's done breeding their foxes, you count up how much friendliness they have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is how many times you've marked on the card. And you rate your fox's friendliness. That fox is a 5. If that's the highest friendliness for that round, you can put another fox here, which will earn you another 2 points at the end of the round. Anyone that doesn't win friendliest fox gets a bonus at the bottom. You play 5 rounds and see who has the most points at the end of the round. The other cool thing you can get on your cards is you'll see these circles will get you a different attribute coin for every different attribute token for each one of those. Those go on your player board. When you have 2 of a kind, you can place it here to get an extra wild dice. You can place it here to get another study to complete. Or you can place 1 up here and you can breed more foxes each round. So you can be breeding up to 3 foxes each round. You can have more wild dice, and this will help you complete more studies. Or you can also go down here, and that allows you to do some endgame scoring, which the most you can ever get is 3, and there's always 4 available. So choosing which one is going to be a tough task sometimes, especially early in the game, so it's something you might wait for till later. We just put a fox there, you'll get a bonus for that, plus you'll score those at the end of the round. You play 5 rounds, and you see who wins.
All right. Well, thank you for that explanation.
So hot right now.
That's hot.
Okay.
That's how it
You
should
like
be
that?
right there.
Yes. All right. So the Fox Experiment. Yes, we've all played this game. This is one of those games that's it's kind of odd because I'm the theme guy, and the theme of it took me a while to even give it a try, because the theme of the Fox Experiment is you're breeding foxes into submission, so to speak. You're trying to make feral dogs tame dogs. So that's what you're doing in the Fox Experiment. And so, and looking at that, I'm like, why would I want, why is this even a theme? And so, but what I've come to find out, especially with other games by this designer, is that sometimes you take a theme that maybe you don't even care about, and someone pours a lot of heart and soul into it, they come up with a really good game. And that, to me, that's what happened with the Fox Experiment. This game is amazing. It's a thematic dice chucker Euro-ish type game where you're manipulating your dice, but they all have a real feel to them. You're messing with genetics with these dogs, and it comes through, and it's really cool. I mean, not that you really are producing a dog, but just the fact that everything you do just seems thematically connected, and how you're I guess the biggest part is how the different generations of dogs interact, because what I'd make this generation is now going to be the parents of the next generation, and so those different traits that I'm breeding into these animals are going to be even more prevalent in generations to come, until it's just dominant. Man, they all have floppy ears now. Yes, and that was my goal. And so, yeah, they say weird. What a weird theme, and I love this game. It's just insane. So yes, it's hot for me. I can't explain it any other way. Hot game, great game. I'm not going to turn down any plays of it. I'm going to insist it gets played just about every time I get together with people for a while. But yeah, and then just the implementation of it with the dice, the mitigation of the dice, put them together. You have just these huge, amazing turns sometimes. At least once, even if you do terrible for the game, you'll have one time where you're like, oh my gosh, look what I got to do. This dog is amazing. And so, yes, hot Fox Experiment, love it. What do you guys think?
So, John, I love that you said even if you had a bad game, you get at least one good turn.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there's only 5 turns.
That's a resounding endorsement of a game if I ever heard one.
Here we go.
I don't know if you're hot. You say it's hot for you. I feel like you're hot for it. The way you're
That
talking.
might be. That might be. You might be right.
I loved your point about like, oh, I was going for floppy ears. I did it.
Floppy ear dogs, baby.
Did it.
Actually, I have a question though. You in this thing, you kept saying you're going to breed dogs. You're going to make dogs. You're not making dogs. You're making foxes. But then it made me think wolves got turned into dogs, so foxes would have got turned into what?
Fogs. Fogs.
Fogs.
Fogs.
What?
Okay, fogsies. Oh, look at little fogsies.
Here, foggy, 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 foggy.
All right, now we're off the rails.
Based on the
Chris,
video-
what?
Yeah, based on the video we watched earlier, I think foxes are just wild dogs. Like I think that we just haven't he talked about it, like I laughed earlier. I don't know if you saw it. If you watched on YouTube, you would have seen me when you talked about you were breeding them into submission. I thought that was really funny because normally it's beating things into submission.
Yes.
So it was true. But breeding into submission is actually quite literally what you are doing. You
Yes.
are right. I'd never
Thank
heard
you.
it termed that way. Domestication, I've never viewed as breeding into submission.
You know,
that is
I'm just gonna throw this out there that breeding into submission does not sound good, fellas.
correct.
I think Andy's been practicing that for a while.
I've never
with his
seen the show, but what's the show where they're all dressed like Red Riding Hood?
Oh, Handmaid's Tale?
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. I'm pretty sure they have a little bit of breeding into submission in that show, is what I've heard. So
That is what I've heard about that show.
Chris, please move us along.
Indeed. Correct. All right, guys. So I'm going to jump into it. And the Fox Experiment, for me, is an or game. It's not hot. It's not. It's just or. Like, I played it, and it's fine. Like, it doesn't excite me. I don't hate it. I played the game. It wasn't slow. It moved along. It wasn't overly gratifying, but it also wasn't like frustrating and fidgety. Like I was engaged, like rolling and try to, match the little symbols together and try to match the little like card that I'm going for, the goals and stuff like that. It was fine. Like I did the things and I had a goodish time, but like I'm not dying to do it. Though at the same time, I will admit I was over with some friends the other night and we were playing and my wife was there, and in the stack games was the Fox Experiment, and I was actually wanting to play that because I thought she might really enjoy the theme, because it's about foxes and she's more of a cat person, but regardless, I was like, I think she'll really enjoy naming the foxes and that kind of stuff, and that was fun, and like I like, the generation things like John talked about in the video and stuff, so it's fine, but like again, this game, I'm not sure I've ever felt more indifferent about a game. Like
Really?
yeah, it's like most of the time when I feel this way, it's actually like I feel worse about it than I'm letting on when I'm like, it's fine. But like this one really is just kind of like, it's like a 6. Like if people like want to play it, I'm going to be like, okay, cool. Like I'll be entertained while we're playing it, but I'm not going to like hate that I'm doing it, but I'm not super excited either. So like, I don't know what to say other than it's just the most like, okay. That's all I
So
got.
we need to
I don't even know what else. That's what I feel so whatever about it. I'm not even sure what else I can say about
I
it.
believe they call that a meh game.
Yeah,
right?
correct. That's why I say it's an or game. It's right between hot and not, right in the middle.
Maybe we need to retitle this hot or not or fine, but then we'd lose the 90s nostalgia with it. So
Yes.
True.
So I'm counting that as
first-
a not then. So
at
if
first
it's
when
not
you
hot,
said
it's
it was
gotta
an-
be not.
When you said it was an or game, I thought you said it was a bore game,
Oh,
as
no,
if you were either saying it was boring or it had to do with pigs.
no.
I was
Sure,
thinking
yeah,
of
based-
ore as
based
a
on this-
resource. I didn't know what. I was like, you don't have any ore in this game. What?
All right, Fox Experiment. I'll get to this very quickly, and I don't have
Oh,
a whole lot to
boy.
say because it sucks.
Oh,
it's,
here we
it's
go.
not good. The main mechanic of the game is order fulfillment, and I've got so many games that do order fulfillments. I could play Potion Explosion, I could play Splendor, I could play Century, I could play what's the game where you mix the Einstein? Is it where you mix you have the little vials where you have the balls and you have to get them in the right order?
Eureka, Dr.
Eureka,
Potion
that's it.
explosion.
Dr. Eureka. There's so many. Wingspan kind of falls into this category too for me because you're just collecting resources to do this thing, and it's so freaking boring. I'm sorry, I just don't like it. It's too mathy, too boring. The best thing about Fox Experiment is that you get to name your foxes, and there's that, which John and I had a fun time with because we started naming
More of a feud is what we
it
had.
was a feud. We started naming our foxes after like each other and then our wives and stuff, and but adding like derogatory things on the names of the foxes, and then we bred them with terrible qualities. So yeah, that was fun, but that's about it. I don't have a whole lot to say about Fox Experiment. It really feels like, I mean, I guess maybe it feels into the meh category a little, but it almost to a negative sense. Took too long. There's just so many better games that I could get that same feeling from. I didn't think anything was revolutionary here. I didn't, and as far as the theme, again, it just feels a little bit slapped on. To be perfectly honest, it's fine, but
Wow. Okay.
not a fan.
I want to
Andy?
jump in here real quick first.
Go ahead.
I want to say, Andy, okay, I'm going to jump in as your life coach here, okay?
Oh, go for it. Yeah.
I love math and games, so that's part of the reason I play them in the first place. So there's that. I understand that. But I got to be honest, you lose all credibility on your viewpoint in this game when you say there is too much math. I'm not sure there's actually even math in the game.
Well, okay, there might not be math. It's more just about counting things. And
Yeah.
that's, I mean,
Now,
that is,
wait a
that
minute.
is
I'm supposed to
form of
have
math,
three
right?
dice.
No, it's like I got to look over here and I go, oh, I need one of these and it's pink and blue and I don't know. There's just too much
Math.
like it's not like deep math. It's like,
It's
like
not math.
bean counting.
not math.
It's
not
bean
math at
counting,
all.
and I felt like I need spectacles or something to. I don't know.
Andy,
It just wasn't
that-
flying for me.
Andy, I am glad you had this criticism for this game because we've had this quote in our game group for a while, and it's the rules, Philip. It's because Philip said, why do we do this? And he wouldn't accept anything we said other than, Philip, it's the rules. Now we got Andy is too much math. Now, any game we don't like, we just go, too much math.
Well, to be fair, I think I'm actually quoting you, Daniel. I think you said it was too mathy earlier or something like that off screen. I think you said something. But anyway,
I alluded to it because we all heard about what you had said in front of Ryan Evans.
it's don't get hung up on my words about it being too mathy. I just don't think it's a very fun experience.
Okay.
It's
Just
order
one more.
fulfillment. It's boring.
One more thing, real quick, is
Borophyll.
you said how it takes too long, and I gotta tell you, Andy was playing with his son in this foursome that we played with, and I don't remember ever telling his son what he had to do on his turn. But Andy, I had to make sure he wasn't writing on the cards that you don't write on. I was making sure he was staying in his chair and behaving himself, and making sure that he was doing what everybody else was doing. You realize this is what we're doing now. We're putting our dice together. We're figuring out what we were, and so everybody's got their one fox done, and Andy's just starting on his. And so he gets it done. And so then he gets on your card, you get to get a benefit, when you get so many things. What's the first benefit Andy goes for? Well, let me make more foxes because I'm so quick at doing that. And so now it's double AP Andy time going on. So it
we
only
rename
takes
this
too long
game?
because of you, Andy. Everybody else was done, including your son.
Can we rename this game Foxes with Benefits?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I'm going to take over from there. So, Fox Experiment it looks like a board game. It's definitely a roll and write. And I just haven't found the roll and write that resonates with me, and this one didn't do it either. I do like some verb and verbs. I like Welcome To. I like cartographers. But you throw dice into the mix for some reason, that type of game with dice just makes me go, ugh. And it's because you want to do stuff, but you're so completely and totally bound to the dice rolls. Like, and yes, there are some mitigations. You have the wild token that, when combined, but you lose them eventually. And the second game we played of this, the first game, go figure, I played it horribly wrong, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more because I got to do whatever I wanted. I didn't know you were limited and things. So I was like, man, this game is too easy. I just like got 20 traits all of a sudden, and they're like, you can only choose one card to fulfill, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
well.
Daniel, we're talking about Fox Experiment, not Heaven and Ale.
Oh, I mean, I played it like
That's a
Heaven and
good
Ale,
game.
to be honest.
That's a great game.
So the second round, I was like, okay, well, let's play it by the real rules. So we played it the second time. And the first two rounds, everyone rolled so abysmal that their fox was no better than the foxes that you started the game off with. So it was like 3 rounds before you actually got to like play the game. And I'm like, that was a stupid experience in my opinion. Like when it comes to overtly using dice to decide what I get to do, I'm totally against it. I want to be able to maneuver and then to outthink my opponent and then maybe throw the dice in there with a little bit of mitigation to balance it out a little bit. But if I'm just purely relying on the dices, nah, I'm not a big fan of it. And I know turn order is important because of that, because essentially if Andy makes a better fox than me, I might want his fox, so I need to make sure I go first so I can get him. But like I'm focused on making my fox so well and what I need it as, but I was so focused on it, Andy ended up going first, and then Andy's fox sucked, so he takes my fox instead. And I'm like, I don't know. You put a lot of work into it for somebody else to benefit from. There's just a lot of things in there that just left a bad taste in my mouth where I would play it again. It would be fine, but I'm going to chalk this up to any other roll and write game.
Yeah, I will bounce off that and agree with that. Like, I know it's part of the game, and I actually forgot about that part. But and there is certain part, like a lot of games, where there's going, picking to go first, and that's part of the thing, and the worker placement. So that's fine. I get why it is there, but it does not feel great. It's like I worked really hard to build this engine, and now I'm giving the engine away to someone else to run next turn. That doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
What?
I don't
Maybe
see
if you
I don't see the correlation of it feeling like a roll and write to me. To me, you're just charting your progress when you roll the dice.
You
You're not
roll and you write.
Thank you, Andy.
This is
But
the
in a
definition
roll
of a
and
roll
write,
and write.
in a roll and write, you're like, oh, I'm doing this. I'm going to put this number here because that gets me this, which does this, and then I'm going to do this with that, and then you're just charting what you did on your dice. That's all you're doing. You're not. It doesn't give you
Well,
all
then you're
this
not playing
different
it right because
cascading effects.
you have to plan ahead in this game anyway. For somebody who loves this game, you don't even know how to play it. It sounds like.
What are you talking about?
Don't you have to plan ahead and plan for your genetics for the next fox for the next generation? So you're trying to cascade a little bit.
Yeah, I'm saying like, you know how roll and writes are. It's like, oh, but if I put this mark here, that going to give me this, and if I put this mark over here, then that's going to give me this and this and this, and then you don't do that. When you get your fox, you're just like, okay, I got 5. Boom, I wrote 5 of them on there. Yeah, that gives you things, but it's not like you have all these choices to make with what you rolled. You roll it, you put it on there. You're just recording what you rolled.
Sure. So I guess it's not even a roll and write. It's just
not
a
even that.
There
roll.
you go. Don't blame roll and writes.
It's just a roll.
It's just
It's just a verb.
It's just a verb.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I can't put the other thing real fast.
Okay.
The other thing is like I was excited when you first told me about it because I was like, oh well, this is kind of unique. I didn't know this history about how it was the USSR tried to domesticate
Correct.
foxes, right? And I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool. And then it was just totally slapped on. There was nothing. I mean, there was no meat to that at all. Maybe if there'd been like a communist mechanism where we have to share foxes or something. I don't know, something.
That's in the game, Andy. We just talked about it.
Well, no,
Make
like
the
you're-
fox-
well, okay, you do share foxes, but I mean like force to like cut your fox up into equal portions or something.
Okay.
So
then
this
only
is the
then
second
we'll
time
know
in
who
the
the
show,
true owner of
Andy.
the fox is. If he says
Andy, this is
no,
the
give it
second
to
time in the
Chris.
show.
Don't cut it up. All right.
This is the second time in the show I got to take offense to your no theme. I wasn't
I
a
know.
big fan of the game, but it was so much theme in there. You're
I know.
literally matching genes. You're going with this fox who is dominant in this trait and this fox who's dominant in this trait so that you can combine them to try to get the dominant trait out of that. That is literally what genetics is. That is what this game is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the theme is there. The theme is definitely there.
Yes. Well, what do you think out there? Do you think the theme is definitely there? Do you not even care about the theme of foxes? Do you want to play a different game altogether? Well, let us know. But we'll wrap it up right now for our commercial break. Thank you for watching this clip from Around the Board. If you'd like to watch the full episode, please click on the link down below. Around the Board is essentially a game show featuring 4 board game enthusiasts that discuss board game topics and news in a competitive format. Whoever wins gets to talk about whatever he wants at the end of the show. So please join us, won't you, Around the Board.